supposed to prove? They were supposed to tell us why the current system is sufficient. They haven't told us how, then, this current system is sufficient. They have spent the entirety of their case then proving why ours is not sufficient. We do not get from their side anything substantial that will then say to us that, okay, this is why we should value any arguments that they make. This is simply unreasonable for proposition, right? And then one of the first clashes that I have identified is then who best preserves democracy. On-side opposition, you get that because people are then protesting or abstaining from, because people are then protesting or abstaining from voting, we get that, oh, then that is a voice. Me not voting is a vote. That doesn't make sense. Even if you want to, maybe on a physiological sense, but not in a literal sense. The government will not count your protest as a vote. Your vote is not a ballot in a box. Your protest is not a ballot in a box. Okay, so proposition then comes and tells you that democracy requires adequate representation for every single demographic, every single citizen, and how we then get this is by making voting compulsory. And so when we make voting compulsory, we then allow for ourselves to move into a space where we are allowed to move into a space where people are adequately represented because they bring up their problems. And then the youth is then adequately represented within government, meaning that the government will then cater for their needs, for their wants, as well as the needs that are already catered for in this current day and age. And so with this, I want to say to you, if this is the future that Madiba fought for, why are we not doing what we need to maintain it?
Thank you, speakers, for that beautiful debate. With that being said, I'd like to officially close this debate. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much to Councillor Ayanda. Let's give them all a round of applause, please. I'd like for all the debaters to cross the floor, shake hands, and then Speaker and Mr. Edwards, please could you join the debaters in front for a picture moment? Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are now done with our debate. We will now get into the sort of formalization part of our program. But thank you so much to the CIA All-Stars for a beautiful showcase. Thank you very much to the Johannesburg Student Council for a beautiful showcase. The beautiful thing about the sport of debating, and as you all know, because you are here as debaters or as well as to enrich yourselves with regards to what you do with debating, it is beautiful to see what words can do and the power of words, in and of themselves. I will be handing over right now to the Speaker of Council, Councillor Margaret Arnold, to come and do the official welcome, as this is her city and this is her house. Usually Speaker would be seated right there. But today, because it is not a council meeting or with any formal proceedings, but this is I think just one woman who I think has truly held everything with regards to the structures of our council chambers, as well as everything that we do here, particularly with the Johannesburg Student Council, because that is her flagship project. Speaker, over to you. Can you all please rise to welcome the Speaker?
We're not in a council sitting, so you may be seated. Thank you so much, Itu, Program Director, to Mr. Edward Williams, Director of Operations and Outreach, Harvard Debate Council, leadership of the Coach Itu Academy, representatives of the United States Consulate, representatives of the Department of Basic Education, if they are here, educators, learners, distinguished guests, members of the Johannesburg Student Council. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is both an honor and a privilege to welcome you to the city of Johannesburg, and in particular to this council chamber, the democratic heart of our city. Today is more than a ceremonial occasion. It is a meeting of minds, a celebration of ideas, and a reaffirmation of a principle that lies at the heart of every thriving democracy. That society's progress, that society's progress when people are able to think critically, engage respectfully, and debate courageously. I was shaking when someone said government does nothing for them, so why should they vote? And the Debate Council delegation to Johannesburg, we do so during a particularly profound moment in our nation's history. Tomorrow, South Africa marks the 50th anniversary of 1976, Soweto Uprising. And if I look at you, I think back that I was also in a Pimville, and the students in Pimville came and said to us, you are not going to be sitting in your classes, you are going to come and march with us, chambers. 50 years ago, thousands of young people took to the streets of Soweto to challenge injustice and demand a better future. Many paid the ultimate price. I'm sure you've seen pictures and videos on it. Their courage demonstrated a powerful truth that young people are not merely the leaders of tomorrow, they are active participants in shaping the present. The freedoms we enjoy today were secured in no small measure by the determination, conviction, and sacrifice of young people. It is therefore fitting that we gather on the eve of this historic commemoration to celebrate young leadership, critical thinking, and democratic participation. The spirit that animated the youth of 1976 is reflected in every young person who asks difficult questions, challenges accepted wisdom, and seeks solutions to society's most pressing challenges. Tomorrow, many of us will join thousands of South Africans in commemorating Youth Day. And I've heard the questions that says, so if this happened, why are we still where we are? We will remember the bravery of the generations of 1976, but we will also be called upon to ask an important question. What responsibility does their legacy place upon us today? Our answer lies in education, another lies in leadership, and another lies in our collective ability to create spaces where ideas can be exchanged freely, respectfully, and constructively. That is why debate matters. Debate teaches young people to question assumptions, to test evidence, defend their positions with reason, and engage opposing viewpoints with respect. These are not simply academic skills. They are democratic skills. They are leadership skills. They are nation-building skills. The connection between debate and democracy is particularly important in South Africa's constitutional journey. Our democracy was built on the recognition that every voice matters, that ideas must compete in the public sphere, and that disagreement should be resolved through dialogue rather than conflict. The ability to persuade through reason, to listen with respect, and to democratic of political freedom. Today's generation faces its own challenges. There's unemployment. Today's generation faces its own challenges. There's unemployment, there's inequality, there's poverty, there's technological disruptions, climate change, and growing social divisions. Meeting these challenges will require precisely the qualities that programs such as this seeks to cultivate. Critical thinking, as this seeks to cultivate. Critical thinking, evidence-based reasoning, ethical leadership, and active citizenship. In an era characterized by misinformation, between the Coach E2 Academy and the Harvard Debate Council provides an important platform for nurturing a generation of critical thinkers, ethical leaders, and active citizens. As a city, we are active citizens. As a city, we are particularly proud to host this engagement within our council chambers. Every day, this institution serves as a forum where diverse views are expressed. I think those of you that have been here understand how we debate and how we do our business, and you also know the tough work that we have to keep them controlled. While debates in this chamber may be the very essence of democratic governance, that progress emerges not from uniformity of thought, but from the respectful exchange of different perspectives. The presence of learners here today gives us confidence that the future of the democratic discourse is in capable hands. To our guests from Harvard, we extend our warmest Johannesburg welcome. We thank you for investing your time, expertise, and energy in young South Africans. Partnerships such as these demonstrate that education transcends borders, and that the challenges facing young people globally can be addressed through collaboration, mutual learning, and shared purpose. The partnership is also a powerful reminder that while our histories may be different, our aspirations are remarkably similar across nations and continents. Young people seek opportunity, they seek dignity, they seek inclusion, and a meaningful voice in shaping the societies in which they live. To learners, I encourage you to make full use of this opportunity. Ask questions, challenge ideas, listen carefully, enjoy fearlessly. The value of this experience lies not only in what you learn from others, but also in what you discover about yourselves and your own potential. Johannesburg has always been a city of dreamers, innovators, activists, and change makers. As Johannesburg reflects on 50 years since the Soweto uprising, we honor the legacy of those who came before us, not only through remembrance, but through action. We honor them by investing in young people, by expanding opportunities for learning and leadership, by creating spaces where ideas can be freely exchanged. The City of Johannesburg is proud to host this international partnership. May this engagement strengthen the bonds between our institutions, our countries, and our young people. May it inspire new possibilities, new partnership, and new leadership. I wish you a productive and enriching program and look forward to the outcomes that will emerge from this important collaboration. And as we commemorate 50 years since 1976, may we remain guided by the enduring lessons of that generation that informed courageous and engaged youth, possess the power to change the course of history. I thank you and welcome to the City of Johannesburg.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for those wonderful words. And I think, Madam Speaker, you touch quite importantly on the importance of youngsters in understanding why things exist and why government, operates, and why it operates almost the way it is operating, the way it's supposed to be operating. But I always ask myself, especially when I need to, get into coaching, the coaching of the learners, and many of them seated here, are coached by us at the CIA, that are they even out there reading what is around them, and are they reading on things that affect them? Because that's always going to be, I think, just at the helm of how well they make decisions and whether or not those decisions are going to be, good decisions in the first place anyway. I would also like to emphasize that you should never ever undermine and underestimate what we're doing here today, because it is one step that not many have taken and not many can achieve. And no matter what they say, you are associated with an academy that was able to bring over Harvard University here today, this year in 2026. And you are bearing witness to that. And to tell us more about how this relationship is truly going to be working and what its establishment is all about, please allow me to welcome Mr. Edward Williams, the Chief of Staff at the Harvard Debate Council. Let's give him a round of applause. Mr. Williams, over to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
You never want to speak after a politician. I just want to say that. Am I audible? Can everybody hear me? Good morning. I am so excited to be in Johannesburg. I think, thank you, Speaker Arnold. Thank you, other distinguished guests that are here. This is one of my greatest joys ever. When I was in 7th grade, you have your 7th grade teacher ask you the question of, if you could speak to someone alive or dead, who would you speak to? You could only speak to one person. And of course, for me, it was Nelson Mandela, because at that time, Nelson Mandela was in prison. And I said, I would want to speak to Nelson Mandela. And of course, my teacher said, what question would you ask Nelson Mandela? And I said to her, I would ask him, how could you endure the injustice of being in prison for as long as you are in prison. Because at that time, Nelson Mandela, I'm not going to date myself, but Nelson Mandela had been in prison for a long time. And knowing you're in prison for something that was just right, and I wanted to know, right? Like I wanted to know that I feel connected to South Africa because apartheid reminded me so much of my own struggles as a child. And being from the segregated South of the United States, it was something that moved me to do something about it. And just like you in talking about youth protests, I started my sort of anti-apartheid protest, I think in the 6th grade, when I told my mother, who didn't really get what I was doing, I said, Mom, we cannot drink Coca-Cola, we can't drink these things. I said, we can't do these things because we want to, put pressure on corporations who do business in South Africa to do something about apartheid. The first time I ever got in real trouble was at an apartheid protest in Washington, D.C., where I decided that I was not going to disperse, right? So they said, guess what? You're going to get arrested. And it was something that I felt deeply so important, because the writings of Nelson Mandela have quite literally shaped the trajectory of my life. I teach my students the readings of Mandela because I think that one of the things that Mandela taught all of us is to reach for the stars, and that the circumstances of today do not predict the world that could be. And we have to imagine a world that we want to see and then make that world happen. So I bring you greetings, right? Just I want you to understand that this is an honor. And so for us as Harvard Debate Council, I bring you greetings from our director, Dr. Trip Reprovic. He is in Morocco. He could not, because we had an engagement in Morocco, he just could not get here. We were trying to figure out a way for him to get here as well. He just couldn't do it because right now it is very, very hard and difficult to get direct flights throughout the continent. Let me tell you, I know a lot about that. And he understands what this partnership represents, and he's really excited for his opportunity to come to South Africa and teach. I'm honored to announce our Memorandum of Understanding with Harvard Debate Council and the Coach E2 Academy. The MOU marks a sort of important step in expanding debate access across South Africa and the broader continent. We know that South Africa is the driver of academic culture on the continent, sort of popular culture on the continent. It drives a lot of different things. And so having the opportunity to work in South Africa is huge for us. And we're really, really excited about that. Let me tell you a little bit about the council. The Harvard Debate Council was founded in 1892, but it goes back a little farther than that. At the founding of Harvard University, the core of its founding was debate. In the early days of Harvard University, there are stories about vigorous debates. Oftentimes, in the early days, the last thing they had to do was to debate for their degree. So to graduate, you had to participate in a public debate and get judged to determine whether or not you had the knowledge to earn a Harvard degree. So we really count debate back to its core. But the actual founding of the Debate Council, which is the oldest debate society in the United States. We go back to 1892 when we had a competitive debate against this university that's a couple of miles over in Connecticut. Some of you may know of it. We don't really speak its name. I think they call it Yale or something like that. And in the first debate, Harvard versus Yale, Harvard won, just so you know. And of course, the council has produced over the years some of the greatest minds in law, in business, in medicine, any career field that in the United States, we produced some of the best graduates in the world. And our graduates in the debate council go on to do amazing things. One of the things that we do is that we believe that debate instills rigor, empathy, and the courage to engage hard questions. In recent years, that mission has expanded beyond Cambridge. We were really focused in on Cambridge intercollegiate debate. We now serve as an ambassador to debate. We're building partnerships and programs throughout the world. We have partnerships in Africa, in Asia, in the Middle East, and in South America. So we work with partners all over the world, because the thing we believe is that debate shouldn't be on one campus or in one country. That history is exactly why this partnership matters to us. We believe that we should partner with organizations that have a broader vision, not only for the space that they're in, but for bigger spaces. That is why we are partnering with Coach E2 Academy. Coach E2 Academy is not only looking at debate in Johannesburg, but debate across South Africa and providing a platform and opportunity for students across South Africa to be able to access debate. Access. South Africa has a deep tradition of articulate, passionate young thinkers. Here's what we think that we bring to this is an opportunity to connect into the global coaching community and get different voices, right? You have lots of great voices here. We bring a different set of voices, and that access to the global community helps change how you compete at the highest levels. Second, exchange. This isn't a one-way exchange. It's not an exchange where we're gonna come to South Africa and impart all our knowledge on you. We're coming to South Africa because we believe that you bring a different cultural perspective that gives us an opportunity to learn about you and learn about you and from you. And we know that we're gonna learn as much from the students and the coaches at Coach E2's Academy as you're gonna learn from us. Thirdly, sustainability. We are not a one-off entity. Our goal is not to come to South Africa, do a workshop, take a bunch of pictures, and then go back to Cambridge. We want to build a sustainable debate ecosystem in South Africa where not only do we bring the world to South Africa to see all the great things that are happening in South Africa, but bring you to Cambridge, where you get a chance to spend time with us, get a chance to work with our instructors, and be a part of the global debate community. Our summer programs bring students from around the world, from a hope in the future that more of those students will be students like you from South Africa. So what does Harvard Debate Council, why did Coach E2 decide us? There are lots of debate programs throughout the world. Very, very good programs. Why us? Here's why I believe they chose us. Number one, we bring world-class coaching. Our coaches have had success at every level, including the coach of the world champions in 2023 in World Schools Debate. Probably one of the most decorated coaches in the history of debate is a part of it. We don't just send out our junior instructors. Anytime we're leading or facilitating things, we're gonna bring senior instructors. We bring people like myself, people like the director, people like our senior staff. We do bring junior coaches, but junior coaches will never lead or facilitate a workshop as the lead instructor. Because we believe that if we're gonna show you who we are, we have to bring the best of who we are. Secondly, we have a proven curriculum. We don't have to tell you how good we are. We can show you how good we are. Third, we bring a global network. We run the largest high school debate invitational in the world with over 7,000 participants. And again, that global network creates an opportunity for every student to get access to a speaking community that is bigger and larger than anything else in the world. We also bring a connection to students, judges, and coaches to create your global debate community. Right now, you have your local, regional debate community. Now you can connect into a global community. And of course, that is part of what we do with everybody else. In addition, I think that what we bring is a different voice to the South Africa debate community. I think that you have a voice here in South Africa. We have a voice in the United States. And I think that that opportunity to talk about that is a really good exchange of ideas. What do we bring for you as students? We bring you an opportunity to connect to scholarships, recognition on the international circuit, a tangible pathway for students to imagine themselves as students at Harvard University, because we're gonna give you access to opportunities to get on campus, see what it's like. I talk to students all the time, and one of the things that they do is that depending on what your access is and what your situation is, you say, I cannot imagine that I would be a student at Harvard University, right? When I was a kid, I was the first person in my family to go to college. So I couldn't have imagined, like I didn't have any idea what Harvard University was. I didn't have anything about college. So I did not go to Harvard University because I didn't even really understand it, and I didn't really know about it. But the opportunity now to work with some of the brightest minds in the world, to work there, is that one of the things I do in my outreach is tell Harvard is not about the best student, right? On paper, you have to have perfect scores, you have to do all of that sort of stuff. Harvard is about building a community of thinkers. They want students from around the world. They want students who change the world, because what they want to do is we want to produce graduates that leave the university and change the world. So you can imagine yourself at Harvard University, and I can tell you this, despite what Donald Trump says, we want you to come to the United States. We want you to come to Harvard University. Donald Trump would not necessarily. He likes to troll us, so please don't broadcast that one. Okay, all right, finally, This day is so important. Coach Itu, I'm going to talk about him for just 2 seconds. Coach Itu is a world-class coach with a world-class vision for South Africa. Coach Itu could stay in a bubble, coach the best students, and just do great things on an international stage and do really, really well. But instead, what he's decided to do is create an academy that gives access to thousands of students versus the most elite and most privileged students. And we applaud that. That is the type of places that we want to partner with. We get opportunities and offers to partner with people all the time. We say no more often than we say yes. Because our goal isn't to deliver the best instruction in the world to the best of the best. We want to deliver the best instruction in the world to all students who want access to this. And we believe that Coach Itu has a vision for that here in South Africa. So from those of us at HCC, we are so excited to be in Johannesburg, and we're excited for the opportunities that we're going to do here in Johannesburg, and we're excited about what the future holds. Thank you so much again to the speaker. Thank you so much, Coach Itu, for inviting us here. We look forward to making this MOU something that works well for South Africa and Johannesburg. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Please can we get a picture with you and myself? And while we're here, please could we allow the coach of the captain of the Coach Itu Academy, CIA All-Stars team to come and hand over what we call a South African welcome, so that you could prove to people that you were in South Africa and that we officially have welcomed you. I know the kids are going to decide on giving you a name, a South African name, but allow me to call up Tsepiso Polo, who's also the Team South Africa captain, to give you the South African welcome. Let's give him a round of applause. Put it on, actually, yes. Yes, yes. And Mr. Williams, we do know that you are away from your family for a very long time. We've also got a little token for Mrs. Williams back home. Thank you. Thank you very much. She does. Ladies and gentlemen, please could we all rise for the Speaker of Council to exit the chamber? And then we'll get about with our own business after that. Speaker, Ons gaan 'n jol hier in hê. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you very, very much. Could you please all be seated? Thank you. You can, Mr. Williams, here's your. I grew up on a street called Khasmeni Street, 2200 in Protea North in Soweto. And I find it quite appropriate, Mr. Williams, to mention this, because who knew that a young man from Soweto would one day have the ability to bring the world's top university over to Africa as a partner and as a mandating and driving, implementing partner of not just debating, but many, 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 many things. In 2022, Mr. Williams, we first attended the NSDC with a couple of our students. The NSDC stands for the National Debate, Speech and Debate Championships in the US, and we were in Kentucky, in Louisville. And we happened to take with us the then junior mayor, junior councillor Bapela Mapiri, together with a couple of other speakers who were part of the Coach Edu Academy. And I think it is then that perhaps this vision sort of was planted. But it was about how do we do it? How do we allow ourselves to be not only associated with a nation that does not take itself lightly when it comes to the art of speech and debate. But secondly, how do we then cement that to ensure that the overall safeguarding of our children with whom we deal in these various programs is actually prioritized? And I'd had a very, very long-standing relationship with Mr. Aaron Timmins, who is a very, very close colleague to Mr. Williams, together with Ms. Cindy Timmins, who I think had coached the United States of America World Schools Debating Championships team for a couple of years. And just after Mr. Timmins won WSDC in Vietnam in 2023, I went over and asked the question, is there a way in which the Coach Edu Academy could be associated greatly with some of the programs that you do in the US? That's number one. Number two, how could that look? And I've got a friend of mine who, if you guys all remember, I used to coach the national Tanzanian team for about 5 years. And my co-coach at the time, and the person to whom I actually used to report, his name is Dominic Mwakifulefule. South Africa is his second home, actually. He then put me in touch together with Mr. Williams at the World Schools Debating Championships last year, where in this establishment and the gelling of the relationship was so spontaneous. This is a moment of pride for us as South Africans, because not only associating, but ensuring that the stamp gets sealed with an institution like that of HDC is not child's play. It truly isn't child's play. And Mr. Williams, thank you very much for understanding and for knowing, and for, I think, also seeing that the work that we do here is, I think, just goes far beyond what we work to ensure that every single child with whom we deal is not left behind, and that we carry with us that particular mandate. I'm also proud that this was one thing that the NEC of our schools debating board here in South Africa understood when they read my application to coach the national team of the World Schools Debating Championships. It's that my philosophy, and this is a philosophy I've carried through in education and teaching, is that I'll never leave any child behind, especially if I am able to do something about it. That is very important. And the student councils here can tell you, the CIA Eagles here can tell you, everyone that's here, they can tell you. We're an email away, we're a DM away, we're a phone call away, we're a text away. Coach, is there a way in which I can get involved with X or with Y? I really hope that by associating with us, those of our students, especially those of you guys who get coached by us on a weekly basis specifically, it is very important. We do lots of things, and our catalog is filled up with that great thing. Before the 30th of June, we've signed our second international mandate. That is a big thing for this academy. The first was with the English-speaking union, the oldest English-speaking union in the world, also with 3 mandates. That of speech and debate, because it is on RSC, the Shakespeare Learning Festival, and most importantly, what? The International Public Speaking Championships. In fact, sir, our junior mayor, our sitting junior mayor, who's giving over the ropes on the 29th of June, this very month, is actually our national representative there. So he'll be in London in July. It is very important that you understand that you can never, ever, ever second guess yourself, especially when it comes to things like these. You also saw, Mr. Williams, that I introduced you to my colleague, Coach Andy. Coach Andy Lekubega. He's the director for speech and debate, for debating and debating curriculum in the CIA. And much of that is, of course, modeled through what the NSDA sort of sits on and specifically what Harvard in particular is sitting on as well. So these are resources that you are not selfish with, but you're saying that, listen, it is important that the CIA stands here today, no matter who says what, and that it will ensure that it actually drives itself up in that regard. You know, I stood in that school hall at World Schools last year, and I cried after our experience in 2025. But I am proud that we stand here today after lots of back and forth, that we've got a sealed mandate and we've got a sealed MOU with you, and that is what truly moves my heart. It was signed here at the city of Johannesburg, the city council chambers. So this is our third one, by the way, our third big mandate. Last year, Coach Andy concluded one with Cambridge Union. So when you come visit our offices down here in Braamfontein, and you come and attend those classes and you do those seminars with us and all of that, you will see the Harvard seal, you will see the ESU seal, and you will see the Cambridge Union seal. That's what we are about. Your first step to become a Harvard student is here. It is right here. And thank you so much to you, to the HDC, and to the Harvard community at large. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, we're going to break for lunch. Please, can we
Let's use the second row.
Oh, yeah. You can also look for mine here, but they might lend you an alternative laptop. Do they have? No, there's no airplane.
1, 2, 3.
No, there isn't here. No, there isn't here. There isn't. So could you email them the Mr. Williams? Could you email them the presentation perhaps, so that you use their computer instead?
Yeah, it's outside. It's in Bapela.
Or you can airdrop it to me.
Let me just throw this. I'm coming.
So in a way,
These two. I don't know why you teach I'm going to offer on. No, they're not just green.
Our teachers did us an injustice. Like, they did us an injustice.
Mr. Keith.
Testing 1, 2.
Can I close this side out?
Close that side.
Yeah.
Close this side. There you go.
There you go. No, just the first one, the very first one. I can move it.
Okay.
Very first one.
Yours, the others.
Yeah, that's good.
I use only say PDF.
Yeah, let me see for top. Are we ready? Okay. Oh, it's so far away. Oh, is it okay if I go for well, good morning. Well, no, it's like afternoon. Like afternoon. I'm starting out at reading this morning. Because I started this morning, I was in Bapela. So I got up this morning, 11 o'clock here at 5 a.m. And I think that South Africa time is a little bit like an hour difference or something. their greatness. The people in the back hear me without the microphone. Can you hear me without the microphone? Americans are loud. And I'm one of those people. So I'm going to get rid of the microphone. One, it gets in my way. So this is going to be interactive. What are the first three words you came up with about greatness? What are you going to describe? Confidence. Great people seem very, very confident. Right? How about that thing? This is not going to go there. They're positive. Okay? Positive.
Let's be loud, guys.
Right? They're positive. Okay? Discipline. They're disciplined. Okay? How about you, Michelle? So, what else? Anybody else have something that's just fire, right, in there? Like, it's just like, you know, here's the thing. Okay? Yes, sir. They're what?
Resilient.
They're what? Versatile. The versatile. Okay? So the question I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to keep asking this question, is that what are you willing to do to be great? Here's the thing. Do we go into something wanting to be bad? Does anybody go into something and want to be bad at it? No. No one goes into something and says, I want to be bad at it. Especially something that you do all the time. The question, though, is that the people who are bad at it versus the people who are really good at it, have they made the decision? Maybe. And maybe that person A is more naturally talented than person B. But then if you think about it, then if I want to be good at something, I have to make a decision. I have to say, what am I willing to do to be great? Right? Because I can see greatness, I know that greatness exists, I know people can be great at this, but the question is, do I have to do something to be great? And my answer to that question is yes, right? And the question becomes for you is how you do that, and what are you willing to do? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what are you willing to do to be great, right? And this is something that I tell students all the time, is that greatness is a decision, right? Great people make a decision, and those decisions are made daily. The best swimmers in the world make a decision to be great. And they do that every day. When they get up and go to the pool at 5 a.m. and swim. Right? That's the decision they make daily. Because if they decide not to get up and go swim a day, they may not be great. Here's the truism. Your competition is working all the time. And if you think you're great now and you stay still, those people who want to be great are going to catch you fast. And if you think you're great, you're not very good. So with advances, I'm really good. I don't know how. How do you know? I'm worried about you being great. I'm not worried about you being good. Because good wins good tournaments. Great wins the best tournaments. All right, let's see if I can do it now. Asking me. Here are a couple things I want you to think about. Number one, greatness is not, isn't, reserved for the naturally gifted. So you can be a gifted speaker and not become a great debater. I've coached some amazing speakers who didn't become great. Okay? Because they missed the second one. It's for those who make deliberate, disciplined choices. So right now, you might say, they're better speakers on the team. So I'm not naturally gifted as a speaker. So then I have to, which means that I need to look at it. That means that I spend 15 minutes a day doing an articulation drill in my mirror every morning when I get up, while my great speaker is sleeping. I'm going to be deliberate. A great speaker is really good. Very enunciated. They have great peace. They have to, I'm going to work on practicing in the mirror, enunciating. I'm going to practice in the mirror doing hard words. I'm going to practice in the mirror about how to slow down. I'm going to practice in the mirror about the pregnant pause. Because when time comes, I'm going to have it. Number two. Whoa. Here we go. All right. You got to have an intentional commitment to improvement. If you win a tournament and you're satisfied, you're only going to win a couple more tournaments. If you win a tournament and you are hungry, you're going to win a lot more tournaments. Okay? Again, but how do you run a marathon? You go out, you go run 26 miles. Just like get up in the morning and say, oh, I'm going to run 26 miles. Right? No. What you do to run a marathon is that you run daily. That's awesome. Okay, today I'm going to run 2 miles. Okay. I'm going to run 2 miles for a week. The next week I'm going to run 3 miles for a week. Next week, so forth, so on. Running out daily. Here's the thing. This activity is probably one of the few activities that the practice you can do every single day without, you don't even need a coach to direct you on that because your coach has already directed you about things you can do. The question is, do you do it? If you think all the best people are people that just go to coaching session, they go to coaching session and say, Coach, you two tells them this brilliant thing, and walk out, Coach Andy tells them something brilliant, right? They do the session and then they leave, right? They go, I got coach, I'm ready. No, the coaching session is the beginning. They're planting the seed, and what they're doing is saying, here's how you do this. Go practice. Now, can they make you practice? No, they can't. I mean, they could. Like if they lived at your house and said, hey, this morning, how's coming practice? Well, no, they probably don't want to live in your house, and you probably don't want to. Okay? I don't think I want to live obligations. You control your habits. You control you have a lot of control over a lot of things in debate. You control about content. If you are not strong in an area of content, well, that's what you should read. The area of content you're not strong in. We make it easy in the world today. You can literally create Google alerts for things that you don't know. But if you're unfamiliar with economic policy, you can say, okay, I'm going to create Google alerts on economic policy. I'm going to read about those, and I'm going to ask questions. Because I don't want to get an economics motion and look at my teammates and go, I hope somebody can figure this out, right? So I can deliver a good speech. No, I have to be able to do that to be able to do well. And then the last one, success is built, not accident. Right? Small decisions are key to success. So, part of what I do as a coach is talk to debaters about what are you going to control? What are you going to control? Are you going to control, like, content? Are you going to control delivery? Are you going to control the combination of those things? Like, and whatever you decide you want to control, is that then how then are you going to deal with it? Okay? How are you going to deal with it? How many of you have a daily debate practice routine? You said what? Right. I mean, do you, I'm going to say your question. Do you have to be professional about? No, also, when I say, do you have a practice routine? Right. I'm talking about, I'm not saying practice at school, practice at your club. I'm saying you personally, do you have a practice routine? Okay? All right. When I was a debater, because my family wasn't very rich, I was a smart kid, but I didn't have access to a lot of things because I came from a poor family. So when I said, okay, my parents can't just go out and buy me all the books I want and do all that sort of stuff. But I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read 3 newspapers a day. Right? So I would read 3, part of my just daily routine, I would read 3 newspapers a day to understand what's going on in the world. Right? I'm going to read my local paper, I'm going to read a national paper, and I'm going to read an international paper every single day. Okay? Now this is back in the dark ages when there was actual paper, right? There was actual newspaper. Like, I know y'all don't understand that because there was actual newspapers. And I would go to the library and I would read the newspaper every day. Right? That was a daily habit. Okay? That not only served me well as a debater, it still serves me today. When I get up in the morning, I read like 3 or 4 like major sort of newspapers. Like now it's like there are news sites. Like I look at the New York Times, I look at the BBC, and I look at my local paper in Atlanta. Because, again, that habit became a habit. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Find something to practice. find something as a daily practice you do to become a better debater, because that's what great debaters do, right? They oftentimes the great debaters show up at the tournament, they show up at something, and it's like they're just like, whoa, these people, like the guys, you know, put fairy dust on them, they're really good. A lot of times people lie. They'll say, oh, I don't practice much. I don't do much of that stuff. Right? Like great athletes say, oh, you know, I don't, like, they're not true. They're like in their gym, like they're in their gym at their house, they're like training, they're doing things, right? But they don't want, like, they don't tell people their secret because, you know, then people like go, oh, well, this isn't effortless. There's nothing in the world where anybody's great at it that is effortless. It's a lot of effort. Okay, so that means that the greatness in debate is decisions that's practiced daily. Okay, let me show you what that looks like. Okay? How you train as a debater determines how you're going to debate. If you don't practice with structure in mind, right, you just come in and say, today, right, I'm going to work on this. Today, tomorrow, I'm going to work on this. Tomorrow, right? Coach Andy, if you watch a speaker, can you give them targeted feedback about something that they could work on, that they could drill on, that they could get better at if they just spent more time practicing? Right? If you ask your coach, right? Because y'all all know Coach Andy, right? Right? If you ask him that question, how many of you ask him that question? So then you have the greatest resources in the world available to you, right? You leave a coaching session with Coach Izu, and instead of leaving that session with something to practice that you can work on, you leave that session, right? You've gotten better because they gave you feedback, but you haven't gotten anything to practice. So you have to practice with structure. You have to practice with something that you know what you want the outcome to be. We're going to talk about this at the end, about how to do this, okay? You got to practice with structure. Because again, what is my process? What am I trying to do? Right? I'm trying to run a marathon, okay? So I have to practice with structure. So one of the things I'm going to offer you as advice that will get you better faster is that when you have a feedback session with a coach, is to say, Coach, what can I work on to get better? And then ask your coach, right, if you don't know how to do that, how do I do that? What's a way for me to practice that? Okay? Because then, now, I can practice with structure. Right? Give speeches, right? I'll give you a good one, which is not happening here. Practice your timing in your speeches. Here's where I want to be. This is where I want to be at this point. This is how I want to get this intro. Right? I want to be able to get this intro I want this intro to be 20 seconds, 25 seconds. I want to be able to think about this in a way that I create the concise language that delivers the hook that I want to do in 25 seconds. Right? Which means I got to practice that hook. So I might only be practicing the hook for that speech. Okay? Or going back and doing it. Because if I want to have that internal clock, I now know what it feels like to do it in 25 seconds. So when I have to do it, it is not something that I have to think about. The more things you get off your plate, the more thinking time you have in the actual day. Okay? Number 2, drill core skills. Work on the stuff that, work on the work every day. I tell the babies that all the time, work on the work. Do things that, like, don't try to come up with, like, something new. Work on the work. Like, work on giving extended speeches. Work on doing those. Like, pick a time. 4 minutes. Minute to windows. Do those things. Generate arguments. Generate substantives. Here's a topic. You have 5 minutes to generate a substantive. You got to come up with 2 examples. Okay? Because if those things start working faster, 60 minutes is like an eternity. Because now you're sitting there going, look, we're prepped. Like we're working on, like we're saying, we're talking about 3. Like we're saying, oh yeah, like we're talking about framing 3 in our prep. Not down the bench as the debate goes on. Like we're already talking about the 3 in our prep. Oh, if I'm talking about the 3 in my prep, does it change the 1? Yeah, because if the 1 knows where the 3 wants to be at the end of the day, the 1's going, oh, I gotta make sure I give a little bit more material here because I know this is the 3. I know this is where the 3 wants to go. So I'm sitting there going, I'm just putting a little bit of more things out there to set up the 2 and then set up the 3 because I know where we're going to be. Versus like, oh, as the debate goes on and we're down the bench, we're like, okay, I think I see where we're going, right? The 3's kind of have this time to really sit down, kind of tell you what their vision is. Like, if this debate breaks the way we think this debate is breaking, here's our 3. Well, guess what? If that's your 3, and the debate's backwards, right? If that's where you want to be in the 3, if you are mentioning those nuggets in the 1, that bench seems very cohesive, right? It's like, I walk step 1, step 2, step 3, okay? The 1 gave me this thing, the 2 made it a little bit more nuanced, the 3 has put it all together for me. And the reason why the 3 was able to put it all together for me, because the 1 and 2 knew exactly where the 3 was going. Because I had more trouble. My 1 is better, because now I can write out more detail. I can add layers of complexity that allow me to give a very, very good speech. Right? All right. This is what I call prepare consistently, people. All right. Cases at the last minute are last minute cases. Last minute cases are bad cases. Right? No matter if you win or lose, they're still bad. You just were better than the batch you were debating. And that's not the position you want to be in. So, here, again, and some people think that I am anal retentive, that I'm detail-oriented, that I'm pain in the butt. My debaters say that all the time. They're like, Coach, why are you worried about these things? Why are you worried about the little things? Because the little things matter. The little things are the difference in big debates between winning and losing. If you look at the WSDC, those debates, every debate I've done at the WSDC is close. I can't think about over the last decade a debate where I judged that was just like lopsided, where it was just a crush. Most of them, it's close. Both teams brought a whole bunch of positive material. Both teams do a pretty good job of putting the debate together. And you're sitting there going, this is a tough debate. Right? WSC debates 1-2 point margins. Right? You don't have like 4, 5, 6 point swings. You have like 2 point swings. Those little details, that detailed example, this right here, this was the thing that pushed the debate over for this side versus this side. That has to be done before the debate ever starts. Okay, all right, questions. I've talked a lot. Questions for me. Are all these things that, am I saying things that you're going, well, Mr. Williams, you flew all the way over there to talk about practicing and doing all these things. We do this in South Africa, and that works like this all the time, right? When I do this in the United States, when I do this, when I go out and talk to, when kids come to our workshop, and they'll go, we'll ask them, what do you want to do? They'll say, we want to win a national championship. We want to make Team USA. And I always ask them, say, how do you practice? Yes, ma'am.
So my question is, if in a situation where your geopolitical environment doesn't have competitive exposure, right? So we drove 2 hours to do that. Because there is a competitive exposure. In situations like those, where you have to almost create a grassroots, what would be a strategy from not coaching side, just from administrative side? So you have the kids have the talent and the work ethic, that type of thing, and they're hungry for it. But when there's distance from competition, how do you mitigate that if you don't always take on it?
I think you have to figure out like internal competition, but I think that online competition, what technology has allowed us to do is, if you're willing to stay up late or get up early, you can debate in a tournament against really good teams almost anywhere in the world. So we have international competition online, right? And the reason why we did it online, so we have our flagship competition in February, and now, and I don't think Coach E2, where is he? Analysis is that students from South Africa, right, now have guaranteed spots at the Harvard Invitational in February through Coach E2 Academy. So now, if you want to go to these flagship competitions, Coach E2 Academy is going to facilitate you being able to get those flagship opportunities, right? And that is the only way from South Africa you can access Harvard tournaments, right? So, because we wanted to make sure that not only were the students in South Africa getting these opportunities, but we also wanted to make sure that they were getting preparation in a way that makes them competitive, right? Oftentimes, this is just true. Sometimes people send you into competitions, send you up to take you to competitions that you may not be ready for. They say, well, it's a trip to, this cool place. And they tell your parents, and then your parents go, yes, this is great for you. Again, the parents send you to a marathon, but you haven't practiced any marathons. And so that's one of the reasons that is there. And then we have international online competitions. Well, we call it international online competitions because the people who are in those online competitions are from all over the world. And that online experience has given kids access to debates that we're not getting access to. And I think that that's the first step, right? Is to take and say, hey, kids, I'm going to give you this opportunity, which means that you have to get up really early, or you have to stay up really late. We haven't figured out the time. We can figure out the time warp where we can say, okay, these 6 hours, we're going to make the world stop so that everybody is awake at these 6 hours. If we could do that, all right, we can have international competitions all the time. So again, those things are published. Coach E2 will have those things for you. Go to them. Come to one of our international competitions. We have great judges from around the world. We're going to get some great feedback. Yes, those things are crazy hours in the morning for you because South Africa is plus how much is the US? Plus 8. Yeah, plus 8. So it's like one of those things where you got to flip your back. You got to get so you got to flip your back. We did one where we had students from Harvard who were visiting grandparents in India, and we were in a competition, and they were online, but the competition was in the US. So they were online, and so they were debating at 2 a.m. Right? And so it gave me a chance to really feel how international partners are, right? How it feels like, all right, it's 2 a.m. We have competitions where kids in China are debating, like it's a 12-hour thing. It's like they're debating in a 6 p.m. round in the US at 6 a.m. Right? So it is, we know it's not perfect, but that is a way to get access. And I think that you should try. Like, especially if you don't have a circuit where you are. But I also think that the things that Coach E2 is going to do in South Africa will give access to those people doing some of these competitions where people will be online. Especially if you're far away from, say, Cape Town, where there is significant. And that's a problem all over the world. Like, major cities in most places in the world have some sort of circuit. But when you get outside the major city, it's like, they're like, oh yeah, we could go to this competition, but it's 5 hours away from us, or it's a 2-hour plane ride, and it's just not economically feasible to take 10, 12 kids to do that. And so I think that online is the approach. Right? All right, and then to the last, study great debaters. Trust me, part of my study from WSDC, I watched tapes of really good South African debaters, right? I was like, okay, let me watch it. Let me see what it is, right? And I talked to one of my favorite, well, he's Southern African debater. He's not from South Africa. He's a Swaziland, a guy by the name of Finelli, who won the world championship for South Africa, right? And then won the college WUDC at Harvard, famous South African debater. Go on YouTube, watch his debates. Right? You can go watch him debate in college. You can watch him debate. You can watch him debate. You can watch his final of the WSDC. Because if you don't watch greatness, it's hard for you to be great. And that's free. Like, it's literally YouTube. You can go watch those good people and study. What do they do? What do they do? Now, obviously, they have to do a lot before you see that speech. But like, I want to see them. I want to like. And it's not like you're sitting there saying, I'm going to try to sound exactly like them. I'm going to look at how are they moving, how are they control the room, what are they doing with their hands, right? How, you know, what's happening with them? And then I love that turn of phrase, right? Now, you may not turn the phrase exactly like them. You can study it. So, what made them great? They control the room. They did this, they did that, right? Does that make sense to everybody? And again, that's free. So that's what I did. I mean, I'm telling you, I started to watch these debates because I was like, well, guess what? The United States team is not very good, so I don't want to watch them. So I'm going to watch the best teams in the world. So I watched England, I watched Australia, I watched South Africa, right? Because those teams were consistently doing well in the WSDC. I watched Singapore. Here's the thing. Watching different styles will help you develop your own style. Like, Singapore looks different than England, right? England debates a little bit different than Canada. Okay? All right. So, how do you practice for purpose? You figure out something you want to drill, and you drill it until you feel like you've mastered it. And then what you do then is then talk to your coach, say, coach, this is what I want. In your feedback, I'd like you to focus on this, which is what I'm practicing. Again, I'm telling you, this doesn't have to be your whole day. If you set aside 15 to 20 minutes a day to practice debate, you'll get infinitely better. Guaranteed. All right. Next. And please, if you have questions, stop me. All right. Why you commit when it gets hard? Here's the thing. The difference between kind of playing that debate, okay, and then deciding that you want to be the best debater in South Africa or the best debater in the world, right, means that it's going to get hard, right? And so you're going to have to decide how disciplined you're going to be, right? For debate group, I like it, right? It's hard to be a person who never gives up. I didn't win the tournament. Okay? But I'm not going to give up. I'm going to go win the next one. I've lost more tournaments as a coach than I've won. Right? My team have lost a lot of final rounds. They won a lot. What? Right? The question is, what are they going to do about it? Right? 4 things to think about. Set meaningful goals. If you can't do anything if you don't set a goal, right? It's okay to have a vision of making the South African national team. That could be a goal. Now the question is, what little goals are you going to make as you get onto it? Right? If you can't imagine it, if you don't believe that it's possible for you, then it's not going to happen. Right? It's not going to happen. So set a meaningful goal. Embrace the challenges. That's one that's like, you got to embrace that there are going to be times where you're going to want to quit. I promise you as a coach, I tell people as a coach, at the end of every single season, I want to quit. Right? Because I want to quit because I go, do I have the energy? Do I want to? Am I hungry enough to keep coaching? I mean, one of these days I'm going to answer that question no, and I'm going to quit. Right? But I'm pretty old now, so I think quitting would just be retired. Right? You know, I think that's probably what quitting would look like, is that it's just retired. Accept feedback. Accept feedback. Feedback is hard. Because feedback feels personal. But accepting feedback will help you grow. Right? It doesn't mean that you have to agree 100% with all the feedback, but when you accept it, is that you take it into consideration when you are listening to the person. Here's my suggestion. When your judge is giving you feedback, listen to the feedback, but more importantly, write the feedback down. Write it down. Just write down what the judge said, and try to write it down the way the judge said it. Don't try to interpret, write it down the way the judge said it. And then when it's over, like once the emotion has come out, go back and read it. Because in the moment, the feedback, right, seems difficult. Here's an example. Judge says, the debate was really good. I thought the three really could have packaged the class better for me. I think if the three had packaged the class better for me, it would be an easy win for the opposition. So I'm the three, right? I'm losing lost in debate. So now, the judge, and then the judge goes, right? The judge goes, but the judge then goes on and says, if you had packaged the feedback this way, you had started with the sort of most important part of the class and resolved that for me, then the rest of the stuff would have fell in line and made more sense to me. If I write that down, the judge has just given you the way to know about it. They just told you how they needed it for you to do it. And you go, that makes sense, right? And they told you, I said, hey, you had everything there. I need you to start with this, to give it to me, do this, to help me resolve these other things. If I go back and read that, oh, yeah, okay. And then he was like, I can do that. That's not impossible for me. I can do that. Okay? But if you did write that down, you missed it. You missed it. And you're like, and you walk out and say, what could I have done in that grade? The judge told you what you didn't know, but you don't have it. You didn't write it down. It also, I tell my graders this, it also softens the way you feel about feedback when you write it down. Because if you're writing it down, you're listening, but you're listening as a scribe, not as a person. And it makes it easier for, like, no one likes to be criticized. No one likes to be told that they didn't do it well. I don't, and people tell me that, right? People tell me sometimes, this wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, or this wasn't, you could have done this better. We all do that. And so that's the way we go. Okay? All right. Now, and then the last one is choose growth. Can you win a debate you've already lost? Nope. That debate's over. Can you grow from what feedback you get from that debate for the next debate to win a debate? Yes. If you choose to dwell in the past, you won't grow in the future. Right? Choose growth. It's like, I can't do anything about the debate you lost. I call it the 5-minute rule. You lose the debate, 5 minutes, you complain about the judge, you complain about the room, you complain about everything. 5 minutes, done. Get it out your head. Move on. Right? That judge didn't like us, right? Like, say everything. That judge didn't like it, they were biased, they knew the other team. Right? 5 minutes, move on. Choose growth. Judge said something. There's something we can grow from this. Let's figure out what we can take away from it. Let's go and do it. All right, big takeaway. Motivation. All right, your why. Your why becomes the aim. Why am I doing this? We're going to talk about this at the end. The why am I doing it? The why. I'm doing it because I want to win a national, a world championship. doing it because people told me I couldn't. I'm doing it with my wives because I just want to be great. This is my Super Bowl. This is my World Cup. By the way, you guys go on. No shade. No shade. No shade. U.S. born. Yes, ma'am. Oh, debate on the continent is as diverse as the continent itself, right? So Tanzania versus Kenya versus Nigeria versus someplace else, right? Is no, right? There's definitely distinct styles, right, from each of those places, and it's not. I don't know. I can't say that there's a distinction between it and Western. One of the things I do as I look at more and more things that is not necessarily South African, but other places, is that a lot of other places in Africa do not debate principle. They don't facts. But well, they couldn't prove it. Well, how can you prove a principle? The right thing is the right thing. I can't prove it. Thou shalt not kill, because kind of like the living God. Right? You can't prove that. Because it's a principle. I did a thing in Rwanda, right? And with coaches, right? And the coaches, right? So we all watch the debate, okay? There's a principle debate, okay? And on the practical, the team on the opposition won the practical debate. There's a crush on the practical debate. The team on the prop won the principal debate. The group of coaches, right? Like 20 of them, all voted for the out. They said, they want a practical debate. They want this debate. Why should we care about this principle? Because the principle debate is our world skills. It's also just like, if you principally, you shouldn't do things that are wrong. Right? If I prove that it's wrong, I shouldn't have to think about the consequences, because that is in itself, that is why you should do certain things. So you're telling me that principle matters that much. Because they, of course, they were all doing that. And they were like, well, there was a debate that Team USA was, so I knew the outcome, right? I knew that we lost the debate, right? So they voted 20-0 for the opposition. We lost the debate at WSDC 5-0 on the principle. And they were, did you win? No, we lost the principle, right? We were behind them, right? I didn't fought a good fight, but they collapsed on the principle. We didn't want them to collapse on the principle, and they did. Right? We tried, but principally they were right. And we lost. And so I say that to you to say, hey, so sometimes when you're rating some judges who are not South African judges, you gotta remember that. That may be something that you have to adapt to with the judges. So that answer your question? Okay? All right, how am I doing for time? I think it's what, 1? Okay? One thing you gotta do is that you gotta know how you're improving. Like, you gotta think about, how do I measure my improvement? improvement, and I'm going to put this all together at the end, is that how do I measure my improvement? What do I do, right? If my goal, right, is to be more efficient in the two, right? I want more efficient reputation, okay? How do I measure that? I can measure that by asking my judges, like, how do you think about the efficiency of a representation of the two? All right? And then ask my coaches when they see it. All right? Again, you see in here, there's a repetition. Seek detailed feedback. Reflect consistently. Track the progress. Review reports. Like, set a specific goal. But watch really good twos, it might go wrong. Okay? I want to find the best person in the world doing the speech that I do, and I want to watch it. I want to watch it. If I get one thing out of watching that 8-minute speech, it's worth 8 minutes of my time. All right? Maybe watch it over and over. Okay? So, know how you improve. Like, gotta be able to measure. Gotta be able to measure. All right. Okay. Now, if right here, we've been talking a lot about method. So the way I break this down into 3 things, I call it the 3 M's. What's your method? What's your motivation? And what's your measure? The way you are going to be great debaters, or way anybody's great at something, is if they have a method, they have a motivation, and they have a measure. Because you gotta have all 3 of those. Right? Because you can be motivated, or you can have a motivation to do something and be great at it. But if you don't have a method or a measurement, you don't know whether you're getting better. So you can be doing what you think is a great method, but that method isn't helping you get better, right? You can be a marathon runner and you think that I just need to run distance, I need to run distance, right? When what really you need to do is to do more interval training or something like that. It's like, because if the goal is to run a marathon and my time, right, doing better time, right, I have to figure out, right, if my training and I'm getting the same amount, my time is the same thing, I'm not getting new PRs, that means that something is wrong with the method, right? But if I don't have a measurement to know what it is, I'm in trouble. Right? Like I don't know how to fix the process, because everything about debate, for me, is about process, okay? All right, so what's the method, right? Train the right way, okay? That means that this is the stuff that we're talking about. Drills, right? Practice the structure, prevent the system, study actions, right? Practice with purpose, not just repetition. Because if I do the same thing over and over again, right, expecting a different result, then that's the definition of idiocy. Okay? Right? Don Quixote kept charging at windmills. Right? So, coach, I practice. I'm not getting you better. I'm not winning. Okay, well, that's the way you practice. It's about the method. So our method has to match what is it that we're trying to accomplish. So if we're looking at those 3 M's, right, we're looking at methods. Like, well, what's this method? What's this method? If this method isn't something that's going to go and do it, then there's something, let me throw something else in here. I want that's really important. To be great at something means you gotta be willing to sacrifice. Great people make sacrifices. When your friends are at the movies, you're reading something. Right? Like, I can't go to the movies because I gotta read this book. Right? That's a sacrifice. Right? It's a sacrifice. It may be sacrificing sleep. I gotta get all my homework done so I can do this thing. I wanna watch these speeches, which means I go to bed a little bit later. But that's a sacrifice. You can't be great without sacrificing because of the fact that that's just what it takes, because it goes to resilience. Because I gotta give a little bit more, right? Which means I gotta take away from something else that I'm giving to it, which means I gotta sacrifice that, okay? And my wife says, when you go to the gay tournament, you don't talk to me, right? I've gotten better over 35 years. I've gotten better. I'm still pretty bad at it. Right? She's like, you don't talk to me. Right? You leave, you go to the tournament, you're doing this thing, and then you talk to me like 11 o'clock at night. And you just say, and you just talk about that. Like, no, thank God she stays married to me. Right? True law, true law, true law. Because the bigger the stakes, the more focused I am, right? Which means that now I'm not talking to her like 4 days, right? Like 3 or 4 days before the tournament, I'm locked in, okay? And so, but that's the sacrifice. Because as a coach, right, I want to be ready to help my students. So I'm getting in a mindset to get them ready, right? I'm going to show them focus and discipline because that's what I want them to do. Okay? All right. Now, motivation. That's the next slide. That's the homework. You have to decide what your motivation is. Right? Is your motivation you want to be the best person in your region? Is your motivation the best person in your city? Maybe your motivation is the fact that you just want to become more confident as a speaker, right? What is your motivation? Because that's going to drive you. Right? Yes. I think World Schools is, of all the formats, I've coached people in all formats, I think World Schools is the most challenging format of any format in the world. Here's why. Because you got to know a lot about why. And be able to formulate cohesive, fully developed arguments in a World Schools debate, right? In a BP debate, you got 15 minutes of prep. There's an expectation is not that you go deep. In a World Schools debate, with an hour of prep, the expectation at the highest level, right, is that you go deep. That you can develop arguments at a high level. That you can take all these different things that you know and be able to put them in a format that, right? You know a bunch about trade. However, that motion calls about a regional trade block. You may not know about trade in like Asia Pacific, but you got to be able to generate and think about examples given what you know about that, right? Okay, who are the biggest players? Who are like those types of things? I think that's a second master class, right? I think my motion analysis, which I call the season analysis, right? Yeah, so I think it's the best format. I think it gives you the greatest challenge. It's the most fun format for me as a coach because it challenges me as a coach, right? Because I have to be better to have my students get better. The things I've read about, like, maybe I wouldn't invest in art, right? Maybe I wouldn't invest in understanding like art and the league of art, whatever. But I had to get better at that and talk to my students about how do you make art smooth. Because that was important, right? So, remember, we're talking about these things, okay? But motivation, right, is your why. And here's what I want you to think about. Take, again, 2 minutes. Why do you debate? Why? And right now, whatever you answer that question, how you answer that question, is your motivation. That's your motivation. Now, can your motivation change over time? Yes. But you have to go back to your why. Why am I debating? Like, I ask myself as a coach all the time, why am I coaching? Because I want to win all the things. Because I like the challenge of trying to win championships. Even though I've won a lot. That challenge is still a lot. I want to do it. Right? And if I lose the motivation to do that, then I probably should stop coaching. Right? And that's my why. Your why's got to be simple. Your why has to be simple. Because that's something when you are thinking about, I'm not going to lose my friends. I'm not doing this today. Right? I'm up here, I'm 6 o'clock in the morning, right? I'm in the mirror practicing enunciation drills. Why? Because I want to be the best debater in South Africa. Right? That's not hard, right? It is hard, but it is not hard to do it at that point. Because if you still love your wife, then the things you got to do to feed your wife are hard. A parent doesn't have to go, like the parents, why do I do it? Because I love my children. So then, why do I spend all this money? Why do I do it? Why do I have to go work so hard? Why do I do all these things? You don't have to do it. Because why are we doing it? Because we want it. That's it. Like, they don't have to think about anything else. Like when you need something else, why do they get it? Because they can. Right? That's it. Right? My 4 children, right? Why do I do it? You know what? And that's it. Dad, I need this, I need this. Right? I got 3 daughters. You know how many dresses that is? Right? That's a lot of dresses. That's a lot of shoes. That's a lot of makeup. Right? And most of you who are daughters, you cannot shop with your father as a group. I've shopped 3 times. Dad, you go shopping? Why don't you bring your sisters? No, I can't go with them. Why not? You're all girls, right? My son, Dad, I'm gonna get these jeans, a couple t-shirts, like this, right? Because you gotta get the dress, you gotta get the shoes, you gotta get the makeup, then you gotta get the hair done, right? Fingernails, right? All of that for one outfit. Damn it. and nobody wears the same dress. My daughter said, look at this pretty dress your sister has. And she wore what? Why don't you wear that dress? Oh, I would wear that dress. Okay. All right. Your why becomes your anchor when discipline is tested. When you go, I can't do it, guys. I'm tired. Okay? Michael Jordan, when he got tired, his why was like, I want to win championships. I want to win another. Which meant that I'm going to go to the gym and shoot more shots. I'm going to go do this. Right? Your why is your discipline, right? That's why it has to be simple. It can't be complicated without the fact that it's what you need to get up in the morning. Right? Your why is why you show up at debate tournaments. Finally, your measurement is knowing, right? Is what we just talked about, is knowing what you got, right? It's like, here it is, right? Here it is. Consistent. Improvement comes from measuring progress. None of this is complicated. Anything you want to get better at, there's a drill. If your coach doesn't know the drill, you can find the drill that you can work on and do it. Right? You don't have to reinvent the wheel to do it. And you measure it. So, you have to decide first why you do it. Then you have to decide the method by which you're going to accomplish your why, right? And then you have to decide the measurement to know that what you're doing is helping you get to your why. Because a goal, because anything without measurement isn't going to get you it. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you something that you can then touch and feel and say, hey, I did it. You want to climb Mount Everest, right? I got to climb it, right? When I get to the top, I know that's how I measure it. I get to the top. How am I doing for time? How much time am I? Coach? How much time am I? Is it 1:30?
It's 1:59.
I have 2 minutes.
Yeah, you've got about like 10-ish.
Okay, 10. Yeah. All right. So what I want to do at the end, right? So excellence. Aristotle said excellence isn't an accident. It's a habit. On my wall, it has that quote from Aristotle. That excellence isn't an accident. If you go to Harvard Debate Council's website, right? And I challenge you to go do it. Go look at it. The front thing on the thing says excellence is the standard. And what we mean by that is the standard is the standard. So you measure yourself by what the best is. We are not always the best. We don't lower the standards because we're not the best, right? Because the standard is the standard. And that's what I would say to you. Right? I say this is a master class because this is as important as any drill I can teach you, any motion analysis I can teach you. Because if you have a goal, if you're motivated to go win, you'll figure out the coaching. You'll figure out how to get what you need. But I thought that this was like, when I thought we asked me to teach it a master class, I was like, this is the one I teach at the beginning. This is the one we teach at the beginning of the Harvard workshop. This is the first thing that we taught to Susan. So it's like, in this 2 weeks, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna get better? Right? Each of you have to decide that. We have world-class instructors who can help you in any way you want to. But if I don't know your why, I can help you, but I can't help you as much as I could if I understood what your why was. Because if you're trying to be the greatest in the world, I gotta push you. Right? If you're like, hey, I'm okay with, I want to be really confident at school events. That's a different way of pushing you. So I hope this was valuable. Right? I hope this was valuable. Here's the thing. Salah, you have great resources right here in South Africa. Harvard May Council isn't going to bring something that is foreign to South Africa. We're going to just enhance the capabilities of the people who are already here. I hope that you will come to some of our master classes. I hope you will come to some of the workshops that Coach Ichu is going to put on at the academy. Because I love to interact with students. I love teaching classes. I love doing this. I love talking to graders about how to be better at grading. This is what I literally spent last week teaching kids in Tanzania. We had like 80 kids who were there for a week-long workshop. And on the weekend when we had the tournament, I saw those kids get better. Right? And great story. Girl who comes on the first day. She froze in her first practice. She was like, I always freeze. So we spent time working on drill about freezing. And let me tell you, people, the top speaker of that tournament is that girl. Right? So what's about content is about confidence. So she went from freezing in her first debate to being the top speaker. Because now I understood what the motivation was. The motivation wasn't about content, it's about I don't want to freeze. I know what I know, but I freeze when I get up there to do it. Right? I can tell all the content in the world, she's still going to freeze. So I had to figure out how to get her not to freeze. And it took 2 days, or 2 or 3 days. Right? I was a little worried about Saturday. Right? Lord, but I saw Friday, the speech was right. She was doing really good. And then Saturday, I think she just woke up and decided, I am going to do this. And top speaker. And then she walked around the stage and gave her top speaker words. I told the person that freezes in your speeches. I'm on this when I'm not afraid of the crowd. Congratulations about top speaker. And guess what? I know that young lady was going home after the workshop every night delivering speeches. Because she had decided that she wanted to do that. She wasn't going to freeze. But she made that commitment to herself. Right? I didn't do that. She changed her practice. Now, she didn't think, now move on and get on with something else. All right, questions? Do both. Right? All of that, like skills equal confidence, and confidence makes up for skills. Sometimes, right? So sometimes people are confident, they just fake it till they make it, right? And so it's always a balance. You're never going to Right? Your coach is going to be doing both, right? So as I build your skill, right, I'm also going to build your confidence. So sometimes, right, every person a coach is coaching is another coaching individual. I will not coach you the same way I coach you versus the way I coach you, right? Because my job as a coach is to get to know you and know your why, right? Because I could have been coaching this young lady about skills and content the whole 5 days, and she still throws on Saturday, right? When I figured out, right, what was there, I never talked to her about content. I was like, what are you going to do when it happens? Right? Because sometimes it happens 2 minutes into a speech, sometimes it happens 3 minutes into a speech. I said, what are you going to do when it happens? Are you going to freeze? Right? And give into it? Or are you going to figure out how to get around it? Right? And here's some tricks. Right? Here's the things I think that work. Don't focus on the whole room, focus on one person. Just talk to one person. And the rest of the crowd goes away. Yes, ma'am.
So my question is, Ellen Beautiful talks about prior debate or coaching experience. What strategies can I implement, and how can I implement effective strategies to keep my students motivated and consistent? And also, how do I instill the love of the sport to them who are capable but are not obedient?
That's 3 questions.
Sorry.
I'll start with question number 1. All educators are already debate coaches. So one of the things, one of our flagship curriculum is called Debate Across the Curriculum, where we go in and teach teachers that they're already debate coaches. Because you already teach argument as a part of what you do every day in class, right? Because you tell students, demonstrate your learning, right? Which is a debate. Which is a debate. The technical skills that like you as a coach have to do is that's part of your sort of coaching professional development. But don't think that you can't teach, because you teach students to organize their thoughts all the time, right? Yeah, some of the tricks about, how you layer and recognize, all that sort of stuff. Right? That's just stuff you learn by coming to professional development and that sort of thing. Okay? Second question about motivating students is, again, talking to students and figuring out what they don't want. Right? What is it about school? What is it about whatever it is? Right? I do reverse recruiting. Right? I don't recruit boys. I don't recruit boys. Boys come on the team. Here's one. I recruit girls because if I recruit a girl and I retain a girl, I'm going to get 5 of them. Because the girl is going to recruit 5 other girls. Because she's going to have teammates. A boy, he's going to be on the team. His friends might be on the team, right? They might not even talk to each other, right? They'll be friends, and they'll be like friends. They can be debaters together. They might not even talk to each other. But they're going to come on because they'll go, I like to meet. Girls help me as a coach because they tell me what my pitch is for. Because girls, I have to convince them to join. But once I convince them to join, and they connect, I'm going to get 5 other really smart guys. So now, my recruiting effort, right, has been really good. And right? It changes the dynamics of our team. Because that girl that I recruited, she's decided that debate's for her. Right? Because I've done enough work where she goes. I trust her. I want to be on the team. Right? Then I now have another coach. Because her friends who go, I don't know if I can do it. So you can do it. Right? Because her friend might not tell me she's going to play, but she'll tell her. And she'll keep her on the team. Whereas the one who's thinking about quitting is the one that's going to win the national championship. Because she thinks she's not good enough. I am going to tell her, you are good enough, and I'm going to show you how to. Because she goes, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do. Right? Instead of telling me that, she quits. Now, because she tells me that, I go, come on, man. I'm sure to do it. Does that make sense? Right? So it's not that I want boys. The boys are going to show up. They're going to show up. And they're going to show up, coach. I can go win the national championship. I have boys who like have no debates. Who tell me they're going to win the national championship? Was some of my best debaters I've ever coached. So that's my recruiter strategy. I tell people all the time. I go recruit coaches. And secondly, I go recruit people who have a following, either positive or negative, which means that person's persuasive. So even if they aren't motivated, but they have a posse, I still recruit them. Because I was a guy. Right? So school's boring, no one's doing it. Like I was like, why am I doing this? Teacher tells me to read a book, I go home and read it. I go home and read it. Well, we didn't talk about the book for a week. I'm like, I'm done. I've already read the book. Why are we talking about it for a week? You said go read small pages tonight. I was like, I already read the book. Right? But because until I debated, I didn't know you just have to know more and more stuff, right? Like, oh, I think I know it. Oh, somebody beats me. I'm like, ooh, now I'm hungry. Because eating becomes competitive. You know, like that person, no one likes to lose. If you think that you're a gangster and you go in there and you get beat up, right? You know, okay, don't come down. Because I could have read that. I could have read that. If I had read that stuff, I would have say, oh yeah, sure. Look, I don't know. Go home and read it. That. Your third question. I think it's talking to them about listening. It's finding out the what is it like? What do they care about? And connecting debate or whatever it is you want to do to what they care about. Because I can't make you care about what I care about until I know what you care about. I can't coach you, I can't teach you, I can't do any of this. My thing as a coach is I want to get in my player's head. I want to know what motivates them. Is it fear of failure? Is it fear of success? Right? What is it? What is it? What is it that motivates? Is it just there's just green as a snake and they just like to win. Right? Okay, then I won't feed it. You can't let that girl beat you. You can't lose those people. Because that's what feeds them. Because they're like, yeah, coach, you understand exactly what I'm thinking. the trophy doesn't necessarily motivate. It's beating that person, right? Like, I want to beat that. I've had kids like, I want to beat that girl. Right? When I beat her, like, I will point a new one. Man, beat that girl right there, yeah. Oh, okay. I'm gonna beat her. Her motivation. Have a specific target. I don't know how to do it. 2 more questions, and I think my time is done. 2 more, any more questions? Other questions? Oh, you're a plant, right? I needed you, right? I needed you for this thing because you're asking great questions. You gotta say that loud. The journey to South Africa? Well, that's a good question. I think, I'm gonna go out here and then come in here. What drew me to Africa, right? As a black man in the diaspora, right? The first time I came to Africa and I landed in Africa, I went to Ghana. Like the first time, it was like suddenly when I got out of the airplane and I just started walking around and looking at people, I was like, like that part. It's sort of like if you had like never seen your mom, you know, like your mother, like you remember what she smelled like when you were born, like you were disconnected from her your whole life, and then this woman showed up, and you're like, oh my God, that's my mom. I know, right? Like I know. And that's what it was for me when I landed in Ghana. I was like, like I feel like this, like this, like I feel at home, right? Like I feel at home, like, and so I was like, debate is my thing, right? I love this thing, and I want Africa, right? I want Africa to really be a part of this on a global stage, right? And then here's the thing: South Africa is a debate powerhouse, right? So coming to South Africa is not make, it's just continue in great tradition, right? Enhance something that's really good. There are other places where on the continent where debate is very new for them, right? Debate is and to help them see how the power of debate is really awesome, right? And so that's why I do this. Like, I mean, quite literally, you know, I travel like almost 100 days a year, right? So did that. So how many days a year? So I basically a third of the year, I'm on airplanes and stuff like that. Like I've been in Africa since May 26th. Right? So I've been to Nigeria, Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa. On this side. We have another, like in my opening address, the director and some of our other staff are in Morocco right now. All right. I'll be back here in August in Ghana. All right. So I guess it's selfish. That's perhaps. Right? It's selfish. I want Africa as a continent to be globally dominant in debate, and if I can contribute to that in any way, then yes, because it allows me to be connected to this place in a way that, right, and it doesn't matter, right? For me, when I got off the plane, when I started walking around South Africa, same feeling. I've not been to an African country yet, but when I get to it, I don't feel connected, right? Not that I don't feel connected to other places in the world, but it doesn't feel the same. Like when I go to Asia or someplace like that, and get on the plane, and it doesn't matter because people speaking Swahili, or Arabic, or native tongues, or mother tongues, doesn't. So when I get here, it's like I have to tell my gals, I get here, and I just breathe. And you will only know that if you didn't live in diaspora, right? Like, you are African, right? I'm African American, right? So you, African, being South African is your identity. Right? For me, African is part of my identity. That's not even like fully developed. Say like, I'm just like African. But that's so different. Right? Think about that. Most of the rooms I do this in, right? Black people are the minority. Right? Black people are the minority. Not the majority. Most of the time I'm in a room where 95% of people are white. So just walk in this room. Can I answer your question? You ask great questions. Right? Both. Because we have the best teams in the world. So like national teams come to train during that time. So they maybe in past we'll have like Team China, or we had Team Tanzania last year. We have teams training, especially if WSTC is on like on our side of the world. And so they'll be coming, and they'll be training. We're doing specific things with them. But like some of the top debaters in the world are there, but some people who are just getting their feet wet. And of course, what we do is we differentiate instruction based on who it is, right? So you're going to be in groupings with people in certain classes with people who are in the same skill group, but then you're going to be in groupings other times with people who are across skill groups, because we think that there's learning development. And the way we do debates, right, is unique to any place and thing, is that every single debate you get different terms. Right? So you could have the best debater in the world debating with somebody who is a novice. Why do we do it? Because we believe teamwork is the core essential skill to be a great voice. It doesn't matter, right? You can't win unless you figure out how to help that person who has very little skill give a good speech. If you already know how to do it, then help them in that one debate. Get better. Are they going to get better? Yeah, they're going to get better. Right? Put them in a position to be successful. But it teaches you a lot about being a teammate. And I believe teamwork is the key to being successful. Somebody who is not the black. We go here and here and now we go here and here and now we
Just a question that sits in plan. Can we also say that greatness is actually a concept that you must visualize or imagine before you can experientially or physically implement? Or based on what you said, we must watch different styles. And based on that, I would say from what is the visual image on my mind. Okay? And then for it to be out there, I think it's something that's happening within myself. So how can it be without also having the same influence?
Sure. I think that you can decide to be great because you watch other great people, or you can just decide you can decide I'm going to be great at this, right? And then once I've decided to be, so I didn't watch other coaches to decide I want to be a great coach, right? I just decided I was like, I want to be the best, right? I was like, I want to be the best, right? I'm going to go figure it out, right? I'm going to go figure it out. Now, I'm going to go watch great coaches. I'm going to go talk to great coaches. I'm going to do those things. So it can be either way. I can watch great people and say, that's what I want to be. Or I can go, I woke up, I decided, I've gone to debate tournaments, and now I've decided I want to be the best debater in South Africa, or the best debater in the world. Right? But my willingness to be great is about me. It's all about me. It's all about me. You're my last question.
Many times I found external factors of success, like when it's one of those investment activities, end up being very unpredictable for themselves. I was wondering how is that?
Because it comes to what? Does that come to what? I don't know what it is, but that's not your why. You gotta figure out why. Because here's the thing. If your why, you know what it is. You just don't remember. Because my why drives me. And it feels good when I feed my why. Right? It feels good for me to be here. Right? Even though I got up at 3 a.m. this morning to get on a plane, do that. Right? It feels good to me. Right? Because why do I do this? Because I want other people to be great and committed. That's it. I want the other people to be great. I want debates to be the thing that you can go anywhere in the world and get great debates. So that's what I would say now. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to me. Hopefully, if you have a question or anything like that, I'm standing right here. I'm happy to talk to you as we do that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much to Mr. Williams. You guys enjoyed that? He's brilliant, right? He's good, right? Yeah. I mean, educators. This is us. He's an esteemed educator for the longest time. One can actually also imagine. So we're going to be taking a group picture, sort of here, but not now. I just want to call just all the CIA staff who are present. Please put us now. I think just that you're all familiar with, who's all behind all of this, and it's also very, very important for you guys to know. And remember, we don't just do debating. We do debating, we do public speaking, we do leadership, we do mentoring, we do life coaching, etc. And there's so many things that we do that are I think of your development and of the development of the educators that are around here. And that's why we found it quite prophetic to not split the room between educators and learners ultimately. I think everyone sort of wanted to hear what Mr. Williams had to say. And I think it's always good, especially for you guys who are aspiring to become national speakers and so on. And yes, as a national coach, it's always good because wherever I am, there's a short debating session somewhere. always scouting, and everyone will tell you, I'll always come and say, hey, what's your name, what school do you come from, and have you tried to apply through the provincial debating channels and so on. So that's very, very important. So if you don't debate, or if you were never a debater at your school up until right now, I truly hope that this very session has truly opened your eyes, especially with regards to opportunities that are out there in that regard. This partnership with Harvard is a huge one, but I don't understand, I don't think you guys understand how much that means to us and what that holds. But also most importantly, what that holds for you guys, okay? We are definitely going to be, we did promise you guys to open up applications into the ambassador program of the CIA, just to go and spread that word, okay? As you guys will know, the book of Coach Egypt, chapter 1, verse 1, leave no child behind. And it's about that, it's about driving that force. And also, people call us a cult, that's exactly what we are, because if a cult goes into culture, then why not? It's important that we are there. We've got a great number of operations speakers, a great number of national speakers, a great number of great coaches. Both ended up coaching the national team, coaches like coaches, the national Lesotho team as well. That's how selfless we are. We even extend our hands to our neighbors as an institution, and that is very, very important. So, Mr. Williams, thank you so much. I do know that this has truly been in line with the vision of HTC and the vision that HTC has in particular. It is true. It is really truly time that such things do happen. These types of things are quite vital. And you heard, he's now from here. He's been in Africa for the last, I don't know how many days. And from here on, he's not even heading over to the United States of America. He's going to continue expanding. And it's another step. Come stop, there's more stuff there. As you can see, our managing director just walked in. We've got two of our other coaches. So there's another program that we're doing at the moment in partnership with Parliament. So they were at this hall there. Also, I'm just doing things that are quite fantastic. So it is very, very important. Okay? Oh, yeah, you know me. Yeah. That would be great. Coach Eddie's coming to the US, so I think so it's quite nice to have you all here. And just please, whatever inquiries you have about us and about what it is that we do, about the relationship, there's just a lot more that's going to come, going forward. There's a lot more. We've got the tournament during the presidential weekend. Is it the presidential weekend? Yeah, always in the presidential weekend,
Workshop spot now because Coach E2 Academy is that you now have guaranteed spots in the summer program. Guaranteed spots for South Africa, and so you will be able to apply to them with those guaranteed spots for the summer workshop program. Our summer workshop program is open to all, but unfortunately we have space issues. Right? So for every kid that we take, we have to turn 2 kids away because we just don't have the space. That we just don't have space. So, but now there are guaranteed spots for kids from South Africa.
There you go. You hear that. So those are things that we truly have signed up for. Unfortunately, Coach Andy and I will be at Worlds in July. In fact, we spoke with Mr. Williams last year because we were supposed to be over at South Camp this year in July, doing the lectures, and we spent about 6 weeks in the US, just doing like a lot of that teaching. So it's always good to have national coaches in other countries, to go and do that. But because I'm at Worlds in Kenya, and Coach Andy is at Worlds public speaking with Junior Mayor in London, at that time it's very difficult to almost like just manage our calendars and such. But really and truly, guys, when we say that we are the home champions here this year, really and truly we are. And that's because mediocrity is never a word that we use. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, no matter what they say, understand that the order of the Yeah? Excellence. Excellence. It's the standard. It is what it is. Otherwise, thank you very much. Thank you, staff, and thank you to the audience. Can we just take a picture with the staff quickly? And then I'll ask everyone to join us. Yeah, sure. Can everyone join us, please? Everyone. One big picture. And the picture will start sort of. Okay. Go. Let's go. What? Let's go. Can you all say HDC? HDC. Louder guys. HDC. HDC. And then can you say CIA? CIA. Last one. CIA. CIA. Thank you. Oh, one for the video. Video. What should we do?
You guys can put your hands in the air.
Okay. This is it. CIA. Okay. 3, 2, 1. CIA.
3, 2, 1.
CIA. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Your certificates are there. Sort of like in the core area, Coach Single would like to do a certificate so you have okay. And then we're going to go. Thank you very much for coming. Educators, you know where to touch me. We're good. Yeah?